Hey treasures, welcome back to my channel.
Ain't nobody realer. Sex is like a drug.
So in today's video, I decided that I was going to tell you guys a story about the time I went on a date, and it was probably the date that I had the most red flags. So I'm in, kind of like, I don't know, I'm in such like a weird mood, and my life right now is like, I feel like a weird mood. So I'm just going to be telling you this story because hopefully I will get out the weirdness and feel better by the end of it. I don't really know. And I'm wearing these crazy obnoxious lashes. Let me know if you like them. But anyways, if you want to know about the time that I had a date with the most red flags ever and why, then let's carry on. So this happened about a year ago, and I was at this point in my life where my mom started to sit me down and start talking to me about dating again. Because if you don't know and you haven't seen any of my other videos, I was single for a long time. I was single for about 2 years, and it is absolutely like not like me. Like everyone was kind of like in my family or people that know, we were like, what's going on? Like, why aren't you dating? Because I was like an adamant for dating, and that sounds terrible, but I was like kind of pretty much always dating, or I was always with somebody. And so me being single for like 2 years and not even dating or like really talking to guys, everyone was kind of just like, girl, what are you doing? And obviously I'm getting older, so my mom wants to see like grandkids and like wants her kids to like start getting serious and like marriage and having kids. So she came to my room and she goes, I know you've been single and you've been happy, but I think you should start looking for someone now because I want grandkids soon. And I honestly did not really want to, because I was the happiest I had like been in so long. So I didn't want to open up the floodgates to like what I'm like when I'm dating somebody or when I like boys, because me liking guys, I feel like, is the number one problem. And I honestly don't like myself when I don't really like myself when I like guys, really. So it was basically like, okay, my mom sat me down and had this conversation with me, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should just like go on a few dates here and there. And I always did love like getting dressed up and like going out. So I was like, fine. So I ended up going, and I went to my friend's house, and her and I were talking, and I had recently just downloaded the magical app of Tinder. If you don't know what I'm talking about, why I call it magical, I will have those videos listed down below. But anyways, so I had Tinder again, and I honestly just had one of my best friends just take my phone, and I was like, you can swipe on any guy you deem fit, you can talk to them too, because I genuinely was not interested in like dating again, but I was doing it mostly like for my mom. And so I was like, you can swipe on guys, you know what I like, and you can talk to them for me, and then if they pass your test, then I will go and I will take the reins, basically. So she ends up matching with like a bunch of people, and I come across this guy, and for the sake of this video, we're just gonna call him Boxer. So we end up swiping on, my friend ends up swiping on Boxer. Now, when I looked at him, I was like, yeah, he's decent. He kind of reminded me of one of my other exes, but just a less attractive version. But he was decent, and he looked like a boxer to us, so we genuinely called him like the Boxer whenever we were giving all these different guys like aliases so that we could talk about them and like everyone could keep up with who was who. And so him and I started talking, and he was the one that put in a lot of effort to try to get to know me and try to like make conversation with me. So I ended up basically having two people that I was talking to constantly, which was Boxer and another guy. I will tell the story time about the other guy later on. But anyways, so I was talking to the both of them. And so with Boxer, I started to like him more, and the other guy I kind of was like, okay, no. And I started zeroing in on Boxer, basically. And him and I would basically like be talking on the phone all the time, and we would like FaceTime. and we gave each other nicknames and everything like that. And what's funny is that getting to know him, we asked like each other's interests and everything like that, and he ended up telling me that he was indeed a boxer. So it's just funny, like, how you can look at someone and kind of draw assumptions about them, and if they're right, it's kind of just like, wow, on the nail. So anyways, Boxer and I would talk, and we had like our own like nicknames for each other, and we had like a lot of the same like interests. And he was definitely the type of guy that was looking for a relationship, I'd say. And I was obviously in the predicament of doing this for the basis of my mom and not really wanting a relationship, but going with the flow. Give me like a lot of his free time and make sure like throughout the day that I was good, and just well wishes throughout my entire day. It was really nice. And so naturally I started liking him more. So one day him and I were supposed to have a date for a FaceTime, and then he proceeds to tell me that he's going to go to his friend's house. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. You and I can talk tomorrow. Like, no big deal. And so then I think it was about like maybe 2 hours later, he's like, so when do you want me to call you? And I was like, well, aren't you going to go to your friend's house? And he's like, canceled. And I was thinking, okay, it got canceled. Sure, you can call me in about an hour. So when I get him on the phone, I was like, was it really canceled, or did you just not want to go? And he's like, honestly, yeah, I didn't want to go. And I was like, why? And he tells me that he didn't want to go because he'd rather just talk to me. And I was like, but you could have done both. You could have hung out with your friends, and you could have went and talked to me after. And he's like, no, it's like the same old thing over there. Like, I could have just seen them anytime, but I want to talk to you. And I was just like, a part of me like melted, you know? So anyways, fast forward to the time that him and I end up seeing each other. So he actually lived, I believe he lived about an hour away from me, and he was going to come and pick me up. And so he picked me up, and we didn't have many plans because at this time, like, it was a year ago, so COVID was still, like, basically full-fledged, and it was around the time where the rules were you had to have a vaccine to go to restaurants and stuff, and your girl didn't have it and still doesn't. So I told him this before, and he was like, it's fine, we could just drive around, which honestly I like doing, like, we could just drive around and talk and whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. Into like the parking lot of like my local mall, and him and I were just talking back and forth. It was good, and it was gravy. And then he is basically a caffeine addict. So he's like, I need to have my 11 p.m. coffee. Let's go. And I took him to the Tim Hortons that was the closest. Now, he goes into the line for his coffee, and obviously we're in the drive-thru, so he goes and he gets his coffee, and he asks me if I want anything, and I believe I got an ice cap, even though it was winter, but your girl would drink ice caps always. And so as we're leaving, he takes a sip of the coffee, and I mean, like, the worker just closed the window, like, we're leaving the line to, like, go somewhere else. And he sips his coffee, and he blows the fuck up, okay? I wish I was exaggerating. He blows the fuck up to the point that I'm literally just sitting there like, how can they call this coffee? This is the worst I've ever had. How stupid you have to be because you can't make any coffee. I believe he said these words. Disabled cousin can make better coffee than this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just literally just like, I'm sitting in the passenger seat is not blowing up over coffee. No. Like not over coffee. There's no fucking way. And off my mind because crazy. And so then he goes into ranting now. Do you want to know what he said? Do you want to know what he said? Okay, I'll tell you. So he says, I just hate when I do something nice for somebody and they don't have any manners. I don't like when people don't say thank you or say please whenever I do something for them. It just really, really drives me nuts. I can't stand when people do that. And I'm like, and he's like, I got you the ice cap, so the least you could do is say thank you. And I'm like, no, not this bitch. You're not, no. You're not talking to this bitch like that. I'm so sorry. I'm not even sorry about it, actually. Fuck that. No. So I say, first of all, I have thanked you the entire time that me and you have been together. At this point, him and I had been together for about like 2.5, 3 hours. And I think he had gotten me something else earlier down the line. And I said thank you, even though I paid for it myself. And I said thank you because he took me there. I said thank you for him picking me up. I am polite. My mom didn't raise no disrespect to a little bitch, okay? So I did not. He is correct. I did not say thank you when he got me the ice cap because he freaked out over the coffee and I was just stunned. So I was literally speechless. Okay? I was fucking speechless. So I said, number one, I've said thank you to you this entire time. Number two, you decided to do something that freaked me out that I didn't even know what to say. So I couldn't even cough out my thank you because I was just stunned. Number three, don't ever talk to anybody like that. Well, that's the things I wanted to say. I honestly only said the first one. Yeah, I couldn't say thank you because you've literally freaked me out. So then we go back to the spot that we were chilling at, which was the parking lot of the mall. And I'm honestly, at that point, I just shut the fuck down. Like, I shut down. And I mean, it's a really bad habit, I guess, that I will shut down. And you will ask me about 100 times what's wrong. And I won't tell you because I need someone to ask me 103 times. I know I'm a stubborn whore, but that's just what it is. So I literally am just like, he's talking to me and I'm just like, And at this point, I don't know this man. So I'm also kind of freaked out. I don't want to have him blow up even more, you know. He is a boxer, and I do know in that profession, like, they are more aggressive than, you know, in different professions. So I don't want him to blow up on me. I don't know if he is abusive. I obviously just met this man. So I'm not even going to really say anything because I'm freaked the fuck out. I'm pissed as hell, and I just need to get my ass home in a way that won't make him mad. So eventually he was like, I'm kind of getting tired. I'm like, yeah, I'm super tired. Like, just take me home, please. And so he takes me home, and then he kisses me goodbye. And at this point, we had already kissed before the coffee incident. So he kisses me goodbye, and so I, like, leave the car. And so I obviously will go to my mom's room, and my sister's there, and obviously we're going to be talking because that's what girls do. And so they're like, how was your date and everything? And I proceed to tell them the story. And they are as blown away as I am. I can deal with men yelling at me. There's something in my soul that I just can't have a man yell at me. So it rubbed me the wrong way. And I would say I had been home for probably about like 20 minutes, and he texted me telling me that he had a good night. And I generally don't text him back because I was like, yep. So what proceeded to happen after that? Basically, him and I never saw each other again. He wanted to make more plans, but I was pissed off, and he's like, okay, so what did I do that made you upset? And eventually I was able to tell him because, again, I have this toxic thing in me where I can't tell people how I feel right away. So I eventually told him, and he apologized, and I just couldn't let that go because it was just the biggest fucking red flag that he blew up over coffee. So I couldn't even imagine if me and him were actually in a fight, what he would do to me. And yeah, no. So yeah, that is the end of the story. Have you ever been on a date where you had a major red flag and you're just like, nope, I'm done? And not because you didn't like them, I mean an actual like red flag. Links down below, and I will see you later. Bye, guys.